Happy day, guys. Happy day. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm your host, Blue Ridge Silverhound. Welcome back. And, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. And I've been keeping a close eye on eBay and all of the other secondary market activity. And someone finally put it up. A 2019 West Point quarter, war in the Pacific. This is the Guam quarter. Someone put it up already. $299 or best offer. It's feeling like it's going to be an incredible bloodbath of epic proportions. And I wanted to take the time to reach out to a lot of you today and discuss the pitfalls of buying brand new product at a pre-sale level on eBay and various other channels. Whether it's eBay, some of those other third-party sites that you hear so much about online. You got to be careful about buying these things. Okay, so a couple of the biggest areas where there's going to be a lot of scammage going on. Brand new US Mint product that people are pre-selling at incredible amounts of money that are already graded, and it's almost like a promissory type affair, and you have to be really careful. Some of these sellers don't even have a return policy. So, at the end of the day, you can always get your money back with or without the return policy because items are not as described, what have you. But in the case of this absolutely popular program that the US Mint has released a few months ago, the West Point circulation rarity quarters, okay, just to recap, they produced 2 million pieces of each one of the actual designs that are doing for 2019. This is a one-shot affair for this year, a total accumulation of 10 million pieces. And just like the first two releases, the Lowell and then the American Memorial, the Mariana Islands version, both of them peaked right out of the gate and then came crashing down, and they're barely selling for about 10, 15 bucks a coin. And now we have the very first sale on eBay, brand spanking new listing at $299.99. All in all, there's just no justification. It's not even graded. In his listing, he posts that, this coin I don't have yet, but you're going to get the first one that I do find. So even if he went out and he started looking like a madman, I don't know. That's what most people do when these things come out. It could be 3 or 4 days after release, after the first one's been discovered, that this gentleman or this lady would have found one to sell you at $299, which is, today is the 21st. These coins don't come out until the first week of June. Okay, the official release, I believe, is June 3rd for the brand new, the third installment in the West Point Quarter National Park Series, first week of June. So there's a lot of things that could go wrong with this. People have been doing pre-sales for the longest time. There was another debacle here recently. To give you an idea of how big and important the West Point Series quarters has been, there have been a number of there have been a number of US Mint products that have remained overshadowed as a result of this circulation rarity, smorgasbord, this treasure hunt find. And, the reverse proof 2019 penny that came out not even a month ago. And then the business strike mint set, the 2019 mint set with the 2019 West Point penny, the business strike penny came out a few days ago on the 14th. And there were a few pre-sales before the release of that mint set on the 14th of this month for Mid-State 69 NGC examples for $35. I tried going into eBay and I couldn't find them anymore. I remember seeing them at one point, but this is kind of like a footnote that helps kind of bind everything together. These coins in Mint State 69 NGC, there are a number of live examples that from the moment that they were ordered on the 14th, the day that it went live, they were sent off to the graders and they came back. There's actually a handful of them that are Mint State 68 and Mint State 69. I think there was a few more 68s than there were 69s, but there's quite a few of them out there. To give you a little bit of perspective on how risky this is for the seller, okay, this is the one instance where it was really risky for the seller to be doing pre-sales of a Mint State 69 penny at $35 shipped. Okay, is that the last time a Mint State 69 penny even existed in either grading company was a 2014 example. So we're 5 years removed. Based off of previous history and how bad the coins look coming out of the mint with all of their little, marks and the little carbon spots which are brought upon the experimental they're not experimental at all, but the rinsing agents that the U.S. Mint uses to clean the planchets have really made these things kind of peak out at Mint State 68 on the grade front. So to put out a pre-sale at $35 for an untested Mint 2019 Business Strike coin is foolhardy, okay? Because right now they're selling for over $200. The last 3 or 4 examples sold at $199. There's one in a traditional auction format that is over $200 currently. And if a seller was pre-selling these Mint State 69s at $35 to $50 a pop, they would have lost out tremendously. Now, that's the one instance where it was a big risk for the seller. That doesn't happen too much in the coin industry, especially when it comes to moderns. Usually, it's the buyer that ends up on the short end of the stick. In this case right here, the 2019 West Point War in the Pacific Quarter at $299.99 is an incredible risk factor going on here. Because what if this person doesn't find one for a week later? The pricing would have diminished probably 50% at that point. The way that these things have been performing thus far is right out of the gate. They're up to $150, $200 for the first 2 or 3 days. So you have a small little window where you can make quite a bit of money off of them. And then they start to tail off, and then they take a sharp dive, to around the $20 to $30 level, and they stay like that for a couple weeks, and then they continuously just kind of flatline, between $10 and $20, and that's where they'll settle because there's a ton of uncirculated coins out there. These things won't stay out in circulation long enough for them to grade out at XF, at VF, at about uncirculated circulation either. So these coins will not be $300. Even if you were chasing the PCGS bounty, which in this case it's $2,000, even if you were to take someone else's word for it at $200 or let's say $300, more than likely you're not going to be able to get this coin quick enough from that seller and then send off to PCGS to collect the $2,000 bounty. Okay, so pre-sales of US Mint coins are an absolute risk. If you guys are even thinking about or even have done any of these, I would highly advise against such a practice. You are more apt to buy whatever the top pop grade of these new coins probably about 14 days after release. Okay, the important part is all the other people would have taken the brunt of depreciation, and then it's gonna eventually settle into a comfortable market value is what I like to call it. For instance, let me go ahead and type it in. The 2019 West Point Lincoln PR70s. Okay, the very first release, I was in the clad set, and let's see how much these are selling, because these were selling for close to $300 once the first few Proof 70 coins hit. And now the last few of them, okay, well, let's see, the last one that sold earlier, actually yesterday, a Proof 70 by NGC, $107.50. And I don't even think that's the floor on this, because there was one before that that sold for $124, and the one previous to that sold for $151. So, and then as recently as about 48 hours ago, these things were $150 to $175, and then now all of a sudden, you're beginning to see this this increase in population of the Proof 70 2019 West Point pennies, and now they're at $100 mark. Well, how much further do they have to fall is anybody's guess. I could seriously see these settling around between $60 to $75, because I feel like it's going to be a low mintage unit based off of the current sales of these proof sets. I wouldn't have invested $200-$300 in such a coin. Again, if you waited 14 to 21 days after its release and after the first initial wave of Proof 69s and 70s hit the market, then you would have seen this this kind of like balancing going on, and that's how you treat these new coins if you really wanted to obtain the finest grades in either PCGS or NGC holders. Okay, it just makes a lot more sense going that route. The PCGS examples are worth slightly more, right around 10-15%. They even have slab labels that are signed by the designer, I guess, or the Fed Reserve Chairman, or whoever they have on there. I'm not even sure. But yeah, some of those are just a gimmick. I mean, if you like autographs and stuff like that, it doesn't traditionally add an extra premium to these coins. So, something to keep in mind. But bear in mind, pre-sale of anything is huge risk. Because a lot of people, the main psychology of this is like the hottest and newest thing is coming out. Okay, do you guys remember the NES Classic video game consoles that had 30 games preloaded on it, and you couldn't find any for like the first 6 months because everybody was buying them? They were flipping them and then scalping them on like eBay and Amazon for like $300-$400. That is kind of along the same pattern as what a lot of people do in the coin community when they're out buying these high-graded coins on a pre-sale even before they're released. They're simply buying on emotion. And as long as you keep that emotion in check and understand that these things will level out and then they'll drop sharp. Okay, and then after like 21 to 30 days, they're gonna hit a floor. Okay, and even then, is it really a floor? But this is a quick little tidbit on pre-sales on eBay and, third-party sites, AppMex and all that. Try and kind of hold yourself back unless this is like a really sought-after low mintage, like we're talking like 1,000 pieces or lower. You didn't hear that, by the way. Somewhere around there. Anything low mintage, anything that sounds low mintage and anything that sounds like it's going to be popular, just all hands on deck. But for something like this, which is minted on demand, because they're continuously selling these throughout the year and until next year, you want to make sure that you don't buy into the emotional hype on these. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. No BS, just all the stuff there for you. And some of you are kind of making comments about how I'm not reaching out to you on the comments and all that. I'm working on it. When life grabs hold of you, that's when you get sidetracked. And, my apologies, as kind of like a blanket apology to everyone for that. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, don't buy into the hype. What did I say? Don't buy into the hype. All right, take care, guys.